Hello and welcome to Prog Chattery 777. We're gonna be talking about Gentle Giant. We just did the first one. Now we're talking about their second album, Acquiring the Taste. Very funny album cover. It doesn't suit their name very well, does it? It looks very raunchy and very dirty and very wrong. And then we unfold it. Don't want to unfold it too drastically. I've got my album in there. Oh, it's just a peach or a pear or something. Very silly and not necessarily reflective of the music that's on here because the music is brilliant. Um, Same lineup as the first Gentle Giant record. So we've got the band basically plays all the instruments. They play any instrument. We've got Derek Solman on heavy vocals and assorted instruments. We've got Ray Solman mainly on bass and violin and other assorted instruments. We've got Phil Solman on saxophones and trumpets and others. Gary Green on guitar and others. Martin Smith on drums, and the great Kerry Minnear on percussion, piano, keyboard, synthesizers, cello, and everything else. And with this album, Acquiring the Taste, this is really when Kerry Minnear finally gets a chance to show off his knowledge and his compositional skill. The first album, I believe all the songs were credited to Shulman, and Minnear. But I think on that first album, Minnear was more kind of advising the others. This is where he actually starts to deliver compositions, give compositions to the band. And the Shulmans still contributed. They kind of learned how to emulate Kerry's style, I think. But yeah, he's, like I said, it's a composer's band. It's not so much a band where there's a songwriter. I mean, songwriting wasn't really the focus of the band, I don't think. You basically had, some really, really brilliant composers and arrangers, and some great musicians that were able to pull the compositions off. And just because, it sounds like they're very, very technical, and they are. They're all about creating these, neat arrangements with all these musical things like hocketing and polyrhythms and kind of quirky time signatures and whatnot and switching instruments, all this really complex stuff. But the thing with Gentle Giant is that their music is actually very, very emotive as well. It's not like bands where they're just look at all the complex stuff I can do, and then there's no heart and soul. I think there's a lot of heart and soul in Gentle Giant's music, even if it is very technical and loaded with muso things. And this album, I should say, is one of their best. They don't really have a one single album that you can point to and be like, that's brilliant. I think they've got a few, and I feel that the fans of Gentle Giant probably all have different opinions. I'm sure their opinions are different from mine, and mine from theirs, obviously. But I think this is one of the three very important Gentle Giant albums. The other two, I think, are Octopus and Freehand. That's my opinion. But I mean, all their albums are great. All their albums are brilliant in their own little way. But we're talking about Acquiring the Taste right now, so I'll just blast right on into the tracks. Just gotta get this nice gatefold. I'll show you the inside there. Get a nice picture of the band. They had a really funny. I'll read their statement, their pretentious statement. But their pretentious statement is more pretentious than the music. So you open the gatefold and you get this little blurb written by the band. Acquiring the taste is the second phase of sensory pleasure. If you've gorged yourself on our first album, then relish the finer flavors, we hope, of this, our second offering. Here it is. This is the pretentious part. It is our goal to expand the frontiers of contemporary popular music at the risk of being very unpopular. We have recorded each composition with one thought, that it should be unique, adventurous, and fascinating. It has taken every shred of our combined musical and technical knowledge to achieve this. From the outset, we've abandoned all preconceived thoughts on blatant commercialism. Instead, we hope to give you something far more substantial and fulfilling. All you need to do is sit back and acquire the taste. Like I said, it's kind of pretentious, but I actually really like that statement. I mean, what they're saying is we want to provide something fresh and something new, and we want to challenge ourselves. Which, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. You can't criticize that too much. I mean, you can criticize anyone, you can criticize anything, I should say, but I like that. So, side one, we open with Pantagruel's Nativity. Great synthesizer intro, just loaded with all this really cool sounds. Like I said, the Carey Manier compositional style is just right at the beginning of the album. You hear it, and you hear all the different instruments that kind of pop in. You get the synthesizer kind of obviously does the opening, and then Carey Manier does the first voice, the first vocal, and then some trumpets come in, and the bass comes in, and it's a nice slow, steady build. There's a couple of jarring moments. It's funny, there's jarring moments to it, but I mean the music is just so brilliantly arranged, and it's stuff that I've listened to this album for years and years, and you'll only notice like certain things, like the very intro, the first sound you hear, the synthesizer, that's the
big heavy guitar line that kind of comes in next, that introduces the next part. So I mean, all these little bits and themes and melodies and whatnot they're totally interlocked, and even though the song goes into wildly different moods and textures, it's linked together by all these little lines. And like I said, it's a testament to how brilliant the arranging is on the band's part, and like I said, Carey Manier is brilliant. And then the song works its way into this kind of big heavy bit with choral vocals which are kind of overlapped, and that would become a Gentle Giant trademark. Then we get a really tasteful vibe solo, which is brilliant. Again, I love how adventurous the music is, because you're confronted with so many different sounds and so many different instruments, and there's just so much richness. And again, you get all these sounds and instruments into something that's so well arranged, and it's brilliant. It never gets boring. There's nothing boring about Gentle Giant music. And after the vibe solo, it kind of repeats its themes, the heavy theme, the choral vocals, and then it winds its way back down to the beginning. But yeah, it's very good. A classic song about some kind of French mythology, I believe, is where Pantagruel comes from, and Panurge was another character that they would discuss a couple albums later. So yeah, Pantagruel's Nativity, fantastic. Then we get Edge of Twilight. This is the second song of the first side. Really cool song. Very atmospheric. Again, it's super technical. I mean, this one may not have the most emotive qualities as some of their other songs, but it is really good. I love the stand-up bass, that and kind of the main melody that then gets switched from kind of like a horn section and becomes a timpani section, and there's this big percussion section that comes on in the middle, which is really good, and it winds its way back in. I think there's some experiments done with tapes and whatnot. It's a really cool song. And famously, Gary Green didn't play on this one, unfortunately for Gary. I'm sure they could have found a spot for him on there. Surely. Then we get The House, the Street, the Room. Now this song is just bizarre, really. We get this, it's an odd time signature, but I mean they make no effort to smooth the sound of the time signature. It's just da 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 da. Like it's obviously awkward. But it's really cool. I mean, and Derek Shulman does a great job on the lead vocals of making sense of this weirdness and the awkward rhythm that comes to it. And then we get this kind of orchestral section with a bunch of stringed instruments, and it comes back a couple of times. And just the layers and the sheer complexity. I mean, arranging this in 1971 without the help of computers and all that. I mean, that must have been, and like arranging and then recording it and getting the right takes must have been just insanely difficult, because that middle section in the House, the Street, the Room is some of the most complex stuff they did, I think. You know, possibly not. I mean, we'll see as we go along, but it's just very crazy. And very, very dramatic changes. Like I said, the complex bit with all these stringed instruments is interrupted almost, you know, very unexpectedly, and we get this huge, huge, big, heavy blues crazy riff with an absolutely fantastic Gary Green guitar solo. There's a kind of scale he plays. I don't think he hits the same note twice. When he you know, he'll hit every note of the scale before he repeats any note. I think that's like a pentatonic solo. I'm terrible when it comes to the technical jargon, but I think that's what it is. Great song, great song. But again, I think there's something about this that it's not. It is definitive and it's not. It's definitive Gentle Giant because they're all classic Gentle Giant songs, but they were still searching for what they wanted to do, and they just happened upon something brilliant along the way. So anyway, back to the songs. Track 4, side 1, is Acquiring the Taste, the title track. I think this one is credited exclusively to Kerry Minnear. He plays it on the Moog synthesizer. And you know, it's a kind of little, nice little slice of medieval minstrelry. Again, with this Moog synthesizer sound, and again, it's kind of quite typical of the band's style. I mean, how all the lines interrelate to each other. They're all playing something slightly different. You know, the one line pops up, and then, you know, when it ends, this one starts, and then you get another descending bit, and it's so musical. It is so musical. And it's just a minute and a half. You know, it's just a nice little thing, but I think it's a great blueprint for what the band was to do later, and was doing already, evidently. So, flip the album over. We got side 2, and it opens with Wreck, which has been described as a folk song without any acoustic guitar. Anyway, kind of get a heavy riff. Great riff, really fun to play on the guitar too. Big choral vocals, the hey yeah yeah hold on. That's what makes it folky, I guess. It's a pirate song, really. It's about sailing the, a sailor song, I guess, not necessarily a pirate song, but sailing the seas and wrecking your ship, and very dramatic. It sounds like a Viking chant or something. That's the word I was looking for, Viking. Then we get like a nice classical section, which is quite nice. That comes back a couple of times. The first time we get a Carrie verse, so Carrie does some lovely vocals. The kiss has a salt bitter taste. This is an example of that emotiveness that they were capable of and soon mastered. Is that middle section, that classical section, and again, very great lyric writers. I mean, very tasteful words, and it's appropriate. It fits with the music, I think. So yeah, Wreck is a classic. Kind of a simple structure, you get the main folk theme and then the classical theme with vocals, then main folk theme, classical theme, instrumental with recorders, which is, again, that became a Gentle Giant thing. They loved playing with their recorders. And then it goes back into the heavy riff and it fades out from there. Track 2 of side 2, The Moon is Down. Kind of like the sister song to Edge of Twilight. And then it's kind of dark and moody. There's very jazzy. The opening few bars. It just reminds me of city light, late at night in a dark alley. Some sleazy saxophone notes. It's very English, very very European, really. But the imagery of a dark city light alley in a city. That's what it reminds me of. The notable thing about this song, The Moon is Down, is the middle section. I think it's got a beautiful middle section. It's got a great build-up with the acoustic guitars and the ascending notes, and the way that the harmonies work is just, it's so good. It's actually a highlight of Gentle Giant's career, I would say. The middle section of The Moon is Down is absolutely fantastic.
It's gorgeous too. I mean, again, there's that emotive quality that they get, and again, it's Kerry Minier's compositional knowledge. I mean, he knows how to put the right notes together to create that emotional effect. So yeah, Moon is Down is really, really good, very good piece of Gentle Giant music. The next song, Black Cat. This is a personal favorite of mine. I really like this song. Very soft. But it's got this, again, there's like a sleaziness to it. I love the guitar line that it's almost like he's trying to make the sound of a cat purring or a soft meow. Great violin work on the part of Ray Shulman. Again, it's got one of those really complicated middle sections, kind of similar to The House, the Street, the Room, but I think Black Cat, it flows a little bit better. It's obviously very, very jazzy. We got Phil Shulman doing the lead vocals. Nice vibe bits to go into it. Fantastic, fantastic Gentle Giant song. Then we wind up with Plain Truth. Plain Truth actually sounds like it could have been a leftover from the debut album, the self-titled album. Really, really good song. It doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the stuff on here. But it's really, really good. I love the intro, and I think it's the sound of Gary Green you hear at the beginning. Tell Frank to order me a 2-piece and a portion of chips, will ya? I love that, and then of course the famous electric violin is going on in the background, and comes in with this big kind of complex but bluesy riff. So good. It is a classic piece of Gentle Giant. And it's the only song from this album that I think they played live. I mean, they created something very complex, obviously, and while they were able to play pretty well all of their material live, by virtue of swapping their instruments around and rearranging the songs, I think some of the stuff on this is just a little bit too much for them to pull off. Like doing the middle section of The House, the Street, the Room would have been a massive headache. Although Three Friends, which was a band formed by Gary Green and Malcolm Mortimer, who was the drummer to come on the next album, they did do a version of that, and you can check it out on YouTube, and it's super cool. But yeah, Plain Truth is the one song that they played live from this album, and they played it live quite a bit. I think they played it right through their whole career. And again, it was used as a showcase for Ray Shulman's violin. Got a really nice build-up in the middle. Yeah, it's a classic piece of Gentle Giant. So yeah, if you're into 70s prog and you're looking to discover Gentle Giant specifically, I think this is a great start. Again, it's not totally definitive. It's not they hadn't totally found themselves yet, but they stumbled upon something really brilliant on the way. So yeah, Acquiring the Taste, highly recommended. Check it out. And stay tuned here for more Gentle Giant. We're going to be talking about their first concept album, their third album, Three Friends. We'll see you then.